Hello and welcome to Fuji Speedway for the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League. Live tonight on V Speed for race number 3 of this fall season. Looking forward to some exciting action from these drivers in their GT3 machines here at the foothills of Fuji, Mount Fuji. That is, my name is Adam Baker. I'll be your commentary crew tonight. We want to thank you so much for joining us here on V Speed. Hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Your like, subscribe if you do. If you're your favorite driver, let us know you're out there. We're rooting for, and we can win tonight's race. Coming into this, we've had 2 races here in the fall season, starting earlier this season at Magello and last week at Red Bull Ring. Lots of really good action between those 2 events. And we are going to take a look at points coming into tonight's race. You'll see Ryan Kennedy, the week 1 winner, at the top of the standings. Fletcher right there, tied with him. Those 2 fighting for the top step of the championship just a couple weeks in. Bruce Wiley there in 3rd column, Michael Paolo, Scott Kim after a really strong run at Red Bull Ring. In 6th place, Mike Nickham 7th, Carlos 8th, Matthew Zenda in 9th, and Aaron Dietrich in the 10th position in the standings. Aaron here tonight at Fuji. And we're going to head back to see how these drivers are doing here in an overcast day from Fuji Speedway. These drivers on the racetrack. It looks like possibly some issues on our end here with the connection to the server. Give us 1 moment as things get smoothed out. Taking a look at qualifying as the drivers are on track, getting their qualifying times in. We'll look at our race analysis as well. Looks like Fletcher is your quickest driver so far in the session. Brian Kennedy just about a half second off of him. This is race number 314. Format tonight's going to be a dual 20-minute race format. We got a top 12 being inverted between the heat race and qualifying, and then from the heat race to the feature event. Top 15 drivers going to earn points. We've only got 9 here so far, so I think everybody should be earning points. As we take a look there at Mount Fuji. Drivers making their way around here in qualifying. Looks like that's going to come to a close. Clint Fletcher going to be your fastest in that session. This thing's going to get reset for us, and we'll see where your favorite drivers are going to be rolling off here tonight from Fuji Speedway. It's going to be a dark, overcast evening here on the racetrack. The weather looks pretty good otherwise, but looking at our qualifying times, Clint Fletcher, your fastest in qualifying. He goes to the top of the charts at 136.154. Brian Kennedy, 136.60 in the 2nd spot in qualifying. These guys going to go to the back due to the invert and going to have their work cut out for them. Starting in the 3rd fastest position, Matthew Gazenda and Adam Bowl, 4th quickest in qualifying. 5th, Colin Kornick, 16, Tulane. 7th is Scott Campy, Atlantic 8th, and Mike Nickham 9th on the qualifying charts. They'll go to the invert. Mike Nickham, we're still waiting on him. And give us 1 moment. We're going to try and get our broadcast cleared up here. looks like we may have things fixed up for us here as the green flag is out. We're off and away from Fuji Speedway out in front. Gonna have, that is Peter Lanick. Looks like Colin Kornick gonna try and make a move down to the inside. Headlights on here. Gonna be a very interesting night of battling in the dark for these drivers. And this 16-turn racetrack gonna pose somewhat of a challenge for all of these drivers. You got that long front straightaway, but between then and there, you have quite a few technical turns. You've got long sweeping turns as well, and a little bit of elevation change as the 9 machine of Peter Lanick pulls out in front. Things looking pretty good for him, as well as Colin Kornick in the second spot. We go 3 wide for the moment. Scott Kim, Dean Tooling, and Adam Pohl all fighting for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Brian Kennedy, Matthew Gazenda, Clint Fletcher, all of those drivers at the tail end of the field here. As we pull up our top 10, be able to see where your favorite drivers are running here, and things definitely clearing up on the graphics side, so that is good to see. We'll go on board with Dean Tooling, currently runs in the 6th spot after starting in 4th. Already lost a couple of positions. They make their way out of the long front stretch. Going to be interesting to see these drivers deal with the draft and fending off any potential runs from drivers behind. They're going to hit speeds in excess of 160 miles an hour before they have to get onto the brakes. Peter Lanick out in front, the first one to get there. We see a move maybe further back here. That is the 5 machine, or rather the 77 of Brian Kennedy trying to get a spot. It looks like he should be able to complete that pass on Adam Pohl if he's able to do so. Right through there, he will complete the pass. As they work through turn 4 and 5, this long right-hander. We've got a car going for a big slide. That's Matthew Gazenda who gets it collected. A close call for the number 52 hang tight machine. Let's take a look at the replay here for him. Carrying a lot of speed in that Porsche. We've got a few Porsches tonight, 3 to be exact. 3 Ferraris, a Lamborghini leading the way, and then we've got a single BMW M4 GT3 machine. Peter Lanick out in front, but the battle starting to emerge for the lead. Peter Lanick, Colin Kornick, and then behind Scott Kim. Remember, he finished 3rd at Red Bull Ring 1 week ago. And his 711 machine trying to follow that up with another podium. Really good start to this race. Able to hold off Brian Kennedy for the moment, and this group about 4.6 seconds off of Peter Lanick. So Scott may not be quite as quick as those top 2, and everybody trying to find their way past, especially Brian Kennedy and others who were the fastest qualifiers in this race. And you'll see a little bit of playing games here on the front stretch. This long front straightaway trying to break the draft to the car behind. We'll go to the nose cam here. Brian Kennedy, he takes a peek driver's right. The 8 of Adam Pohl. And able to complete that pass. Got Kim and the next one in front. Apologies for that. We were actually behind, and Scott going to go a little bit too wide. He's going to lose a whole bunch of ground. Going to lose all of those positions and actually fall in next to Dean Tooling. Battling for 7th and 8th. See Matthew Gazenda, who went for the slide through turns 3 and 4 on the last lap. Still trying to get caught back up to the rest of this group as they continue to battle. He might be able to close in a little clean air on the nose. Take a look here at Clint Fletcher, his pink and white Porsche. Trying to put pressure on the 77 of Brian Kennedy. These 2 your fastest in qualifying. And making their way down the front stretch once again. Lap times just about 1:38 flat for the top two as they come streaking past the camera here. And then you can see Brian Kennedy trying to go all the way down to the inside wall. Not going to give any draft Clint Fletcher, but Clint's not going to play that game. He just stays right in the racing groove. And he's going to try and put that pressure on Brian Kennedy. But then you've got Adam Pohl back to 5th now, right where he started. Dean Tulane in 6th. Scott Kim in that 7th position, kind of the last of that group. Matthew Gazenda still playing catch-up. We want to give a big shout out to the sponsors of this series, Gunfire Games and Duncan Racing Designs. Duncan Racing Designs brings you a lot of the paint schemes you see on the cars here. Team Gas Burn Machine out in front. That is Peter Lanik in the chromatic copper Lamborghini Huracan, as Brian Kennedy's gone off the racetrack just a bit. The number 1 of Clint Fletcher going to slip on through. He'll go to 3rd. As let's take a look at that moment just a few seconds ago. Yeah, just a little bit too much to the curb there for Brian Kennedy. He gets his Ferrari a bit upset, able to collect it and only lose 1 position, so nice job to do so. We'll go back live. Brian in that 4th position. And Clint Fletcher looks pretty good on the last lap there. 0.6 faster than the leader. And Colin Kortnick lost a big chunk to Peter Lanik. He had been right there, about 2 car lengths back. And last time around, about 0.8 off of that time. So Clint Fletcher and his Porsche really pushing it now, hard on the throttle. Brian Kennedy trying to keep up with him. Adam Pohl doing just that as well. All of these drivers starting to make gains on the top 2. Even Dean Tulane with a nice lap time faster than your leader back there in the 6th position. Scott Kim also staying with this pack. And anything can happen if we start getting to battling here almost halfway through the first 20-minute session. And it is very dark here at Fuji Speedway. A lot of these drivers probably experiencing it in these conditions for the first time in their racing careers. And it's just getting darker and darker out here. And everybody single file for the moment, following the leader. On board here with Adam Pohl as he makes his way around turn number 1 through turn 2. Just that little kink in the exit of turn 1, they consider that turn 2, and then you get into turn 3. And then this long right-hand sweeper is 2 corners, turns 4 and 5. And then they'll get back to the left-hand side here. Turn number 6, he stays real tight to the curb. You see the battle further up. Clint Fletcher fighting for the 2nd spot with Colin Kortnick. Looks like he might be able to take that spot away as they race through turns 8 and 9. Kortnick trying to defend. He's been able to do so to this point. And they will make their way through turns 14, 15, and now back towards turn number 16. Clint Fletcher trying to find some way around, and they're all catching back up to Peter Lanik, other than Colin Kortnick, who's losing time as this run goes on. And he has got a mirror full of the rest of this pack. Clint Fletcher not get quite the run through those last few corners as Peter Lanik has pulled it down pit road. He's on the pit lane. Not sure if he maybe didn't switch over his fuel load from qualifying. That is sometimes an issue that we see with these setups that drivers will put into the car for qualifying, and then they go out there for practice, or for the race rather, and they don't have enough fuel to make it to the end of the 20 minutes. So it looks like he'll stop in the box. We'll see if it's under a few seconds. He may end up, I'm not too sure if there was an issue there, but Colin Kortnick will have led a lap. Clint Fletcher now takes that top spot away as he dives down to the inside. No problem at all. Here comes Brian Kennedy, the next one in line to try and make a move on the 32. And just past the halfway point, this battle for the race lead is hot and heavy. Clint Fletcher, looking for his first victory of any sort this season, has been the bridesmaid in a lot of these races so far. Oh boy, big hit on the curb for Colin Kortnick. That is really going to cause problems for his Ferrari. Brian Kennedy taking advantage, sends it on through, but Colin able to get right back by. Pulls the old switcheroo on in there, the switchback, able to take the spot away. As it looked like Brian Kennedy was going to actually have it, but now back onto the front straightaway. Here comes Adam Pohl trying to complete a pass. That would move him onto the podium. And he's going to have a little bit of draft, but these cars side drafting each other. When cars next to each other pour air onto the spoilers of the other car, and really they end up kind of just staying even with each other. Sometimes one driver will get dragged back quite a ways. But in this case, Adam Pohl able to complete the pass around the outside of turn number 1. And now he'll set his sights on second place. As Peter Lanik back on the racetrack, he was there for 10.9 seconds, and I am not exactly sure if it was just a fuel stop or what the case was, but he was on pit lane for 42.4 seconds total, and just going one lap down to the rest of the field. Clint Fletcher driving away 2.3 seconds out in front. He gets a huge hit on that curve though. A lot of drivers using a lot of that red and white rumble strip down on the inside. And look at this, Adam Pohl trying to complete a pass on Colin Kortnick. Not quite clear of him just yet, and Colin gonna dive back through. That'll push Adam Pohl over the big rumble strips, the bumps that they have outside of the turn, and he actually got the car off the ground. Might have even damaged it slightly, but he'll battle it now with Brian Kennedy. And here comes Dean Tulien with a full head of steam. He's going to try and take it 3 wide down the front straightaway. All the while, Clint Fletcher driving away now, 3.2 seconds. He is the fastest car on the track, but how about this battle 3 wide for the final step of the podium? And Brian Kennedy going to send it down into the turn really deep, almost too deep. And Pohl able to cut it back underneath him here, and they're going to stay side by side as they race towards turn number 3. Adam Pohl will try and stay alongside the quarter panel, and he's going to do just that. Big bobble for Brian Kennedy, not able to keep it under full momentum, but able to hold on to 4th. Adam Pohl takes 3rd once again. These guys are putting on an amazing battle here in the mid-pack. It's like they're battling for the win, but they're just battling for 3rd on back. Colin Kortnick's got some breathing room now as these two go at it. And a big run from Brian Kennedy once again. He's just a little bit quicker through certain parts of this track. Adam Pohl, though, I think putting his car where it needs to be to hold off the hard-charging number 77, who was, again, very fast in qualifying, 2nd quickest to be exact. The fastest car has made his way through the field, and he is driving away. That is Clint Fletcher, who's just trying to improve his best lap times. That time, though, 1:37.56. There is a little bit of fall off, it appears. as this race has gone on 15 minutes in now. And everybody pretty much on the same straightaway. That Peter Lanek one lap down, but everybody is still on the same straightaway, separated by just about 11.5 seconds. Matthew Gazenda still has not been able to catch up to the rest of the pack after the early slide cost him a lot of time. But still hanging tough in the 7th position, and any mistakes that could be made by the rest of the field could play into his hands. It has gotten so dark here at Fuji. The headlights fully on. So we'll go on board here with Brian Kennedy. This is the view from the cockpit. So it's pretty dark inside these cars, really only being illuminated by the switches down there in the center, as well as the digital display they use for the dashboard. You can see Brian really carrying a lot of speed through those corners, able to close up but not able to make the move as they've gained time once again on Colin Kortnick. And he's going to try and be opportunistic here, almost 3 wide, and they are 3 wide for a brief moment. He's going to get a nice run, and actually looks like he's going to try and bump draft Adam Pohl. I think both these drivers knowing they've got to find a way around the 32, and right now it's 3 wide for 2nd place. Just a couple more laps to go in this one. Both the 8 and the 77 send it deep into turn 1. Brian Kennedy fights a little counter steer there and able to take the spot. He'll move to 2nd. Scott Kim gonna make a pass, or it looked like it for a second. I guess he made the pass on Peter Lanek. It's almost impossible to see other than the shining numbers on the side. Battle still on for the 3rd spot. Adam Pohl, Colin Kortnick doing a nice job of giving each other space, but battling hard. And look at that, Adam Pohl trying to find every inch of racetrack. Meanwhile, Clint Fletcher still driving away. Brian Kennedy was a bit faster, but Clint has that 4-second gap. They're going to be coming to 2 to go. So really doesn't have to worry about all that much. Looks like Adam Pohl trying to set up the exit of this one. Going to get into the back bumper of the Ferrari of Colin Kortnick, and then through turn number 16, just trying to find some momentum. Has not been able to. Big slide there from Scott Kim. He gets it collected though. This is the view out here at this racetrack. It is very dark. There aren't any lights to be found. So all we see are the headlights of these drivers. And really it's just this battle for 3rd place to keep our eyes on. Yeah, Colin Kortnick with the advantage for 3rd as Brian Kennedy goes by the camera there. You can see a few lights reflecting off the stands in the back, but the fans not able to see all that much here tonight without any type of lights at the racetrack. I don't know if this is a track that they traditionally run night races at. They do the World Endurance Championships here, but I don't believe it is often an evening race. There is the 6 hours of Fuji. Currently an event on the schedule for World Endurance Championship, as it looks like Clint Fletcher should get the white flag. That is going to be the case. White flag being shown to this field. Brian Kennedy solidly in 2nd. I think the battle's really going to be this 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. As there goes Adam Pohl, big send into the corner, and Colin Kortnick going to cross him back over. That was an opportunity. Just missed right there. Adam Pohl really sent it down deep into the turn, and now he's going to have to hold off a hard-charging Dean Tulane and see if he can track down Colin Kortnick, who's had a very good race, driving defensively and getting a lap led. But not over yet. Pohl closes back in. That gap now just about 1 car length. The view out of his mirror, pretty much all headlights. And Adam Pohl trying to close back up. Gonna have about 5 more corners to do just that. He had a nice run through the last corner. Gonna go to driver's right. Colin Kortnick opened the door for him, and it looks like Adam Pohl just about able to complete the pass. He does complete it here on the last lap. Clint Fletcher already back onto the front straightaway, and he will come back towards the line, flashing those headlights in the dark. And he's in the grass. Not exactly sure what's going on right there. Trying to cool the tires in the last few moments. Matthew Gazenda also, just seeing him, he took it behind the wall at the end of this race. But it's going to be Clint Fletcher, Brian Kennedy, and Adam Pohl able to take 3rd place. Colin Kortnick, Dean Tulane, Scott Kim, Peter Lanik, and Matthew Gazenda. I think the scoring just getting mixed up a little bit there at the end, but Mike Nickham looks like he may join us again for the feature event. But it is Clint Fletcher, your winner in the heat race. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. From the starting line to the finish line, and everything in between, Duncan Racing Designs is here to supply you with the livery you didn't know you needed. Let DRD help you look good so you can drive fast. Contact Duncan Racing Designs on Instagram, Trading Paints, or via email. This season of the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League is brought to you by Gunfire Games, developers of the hit game Remnant 2, now available for PC, PS5, and Xbox. For more information on Remnant 2, visit www.remnantgame.com. And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
The wheel gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from? Here comes Dweck.
A punch from the 33.
It's a the drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
Back at the racetrack now. It is very dark here at Fuji. We're not probably going to be able to see all that much of these drivers. But we'll go on board here as the field drives around. So this is the best that we're about to see. This is your starting lineup for the feature event here tonight at Fuji in the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League. Peter Lanik going to be rolling off from the front here. Matthew Gazenda in that second spot. Scott Kim, Dean Toolene, Colin Kortenick, Adam Pohl, and then first and second place. Second place being Brian Kennedy and Clint Fletcher. The next one in line. They make their way onto the front straightaway. About to get things going at Fuji Speedway. This is the second of 2 races tonight. Should be a very exciting one. Mike Nickum not on the track. Like he is either electing to start from pit lane or is going to be starting, or not going to be starting this one as the field gets the green flag. We're off and away. And Lanik takes over the top spot down into turn number 1. Let's see if we can crank up the brightness here. Give us one moment. There we go, a little bit brighter out here. So we're actually able to see who is who. Right now, Peter Lanik takes the top spot away. Matthew Gazenda in the second spot. Did not have the race he would have liked in the heat event. Got Kim in that third spot. Again, not quite the result, but a very solid race nonetheless. Colin Kortenick in the fourth spot, able to come away with a podium finish, just about. And now battling Brian Kennedy, Dean Toolene, who's a hard charger late in the heat race. And then Adam Pohl and Clint Fletcher, who also made up the podium. As they battle side by side here out of turn number 16. They'll be the two Porsches neck and neck. That is Clint Fletcher and Adam Pohl at the back of the pack. And then the BMW of Dean Toolene trying to hold on here over Brian Kennedy. But Brian with a full head of steam down the inside of turn number 1. But the 77 not quite able to put the power down quite as quickly. Nonetheless, the shorter route going to get him that position and move him into the 5th place. Colin Kortenick putting the pressure on Scott Kim. Continues to run in 3rd. Peter Lanik, who had a very strong opening stint to the heat race, ended up bringing it down pit road and going a lap down in the process. We'll have to see what the cause of that was later on, if he's able to get a nice strong finish. But the battle is going to be on for the lead at the moment. It is Peter Lanik and Matthew Gazenda, as Adam Pohl makes his way on past Clint Fletcher. Those guys doing battle all the way at the back of the field. Dean Toolene had an issue. He's about 17.3 seconds back. We'll see if we can find what happened to him. may be hard to see, but he's the 84. Looks like he got tagged possibly by Clint Fletcher and then into the inside wall. There's Dean Tulane. Currently runs in the 8th spot. All by himself. Out in front, it's still Peter Lanik, Matthew Gazenda. As they come across the line, it's going to be 3 wide between Scott Kim, Colin Kortnick, and Brian Kennedy, who's been trying that inside groove, but there's not going to be enough space. Door gets slammed in his face by the 7-Eleven. As they get it all sorted out, though, this end of the racetrack. Lanik with issues again, not sure what's going on, but he's going to get passed up for first and second, and now also going to lose third, loses fourth if Adam Pohl can complete the pass. But Peter Lanik with issues. And let's see if we can find out what happened to him just a moment ago. He was out in front, goes into the corner, and makes a little bit of contact. That was Matthew Gazenda, who also lost all that ground. I'm not sure if that was what happened. They just made a little bit of contact, and he ended up giving up a lot of track position. He falls all the way back to 7th after leading for the first lap. Gazenda right there in front of him. So both those drivers losing a lot of ground, and that puts Colin Kortnick once again conveniently at the top spot, at least for the time being. And how about Scott Kim right here behind him, who was able to hold off Brian Kennedy? And based on lap times, that time across the stripe, Adam Pohl was the fastest driver, a 1:37.35. That is the fastest lap of this race. He's currently in the 4th position. Brian Kennedy looks drivers right on Scott Kim. Nothing doing there. Already 5 minutes have ticked off the clock. If you're just joining us, this is the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League. My name is Adam Baker here on B-Speed. We do appreciate you tuning in. Battle for the top spot. Scott Kim takes a peek, driver's left. Not going to happen that time as he gets back down on the throttle now. Brian Kennedy going to try and get alongside. Not going to try and reload here and take another shot at it. Haven't seen Scott lead much. But looking very strong here tonight, especially in this feature event. Obviously learned some stuff in the heat race. And after a very strong performance finishing on the podium last week at Red Bull Ring, it looks like he's gonna get a big wiggle there. Brian Kennedy gets into the back of him, but neither of those drivers losing control. But now Scott under fire from the 77, who's gonna have a little bit of a push from Clint Fletcher, fastest in qualifying and our heat winner. Nose to tail. It's Colin Kortnick about 1.29 seconds, and that's gonna shrink with the draft. A little bit of NASCAR action almost here at Fuji. Down into turn number 1, Clint Fletcher jumps to the left side. Gonna take a deep dive into the corner, and Scott Kim gonna get nearly turned around by Adam Pohl. They make contact. And let's take another look at that one. Adam Pohl looking down to the inside. Scott Kim tried to shut the door, and Adam Pohl was already there. But they live to race on. Adam Pohl has had problems here. He may have some steering damage. So we can go to another replay. Not too sure. Peter Lanik back on pit road, so he must be having some connection issues or other problems. Not exactly sure what's going on with Peter tonight. He's looked very quick at points and leading laps in both races, but ultimately problems for the number 9 as Brian Kennedy took a huge run over the big curbs there, the sausage curbs, or turtles, some people like to call them, and Clint Fletcher trying to make a move for the race lead. Battled from the back of the pack once again, and it's only taken him about 9 minutes in this one. He's right there at the back bumper, and it'll be less than a car length. He'll look drivers left. Kortnick goes to seal it off, and here goes Clint. Big send down on the brakes, able to take the lead away, and Colin Kortnick not able to undercut him. And he'll fall to the second spot, flashing the headlights, maybe not too happy about the aggressive send into turn 1. Brian Kennedy seeing his opportunity maybe to get to second now as he's all over the back of the 32. And really deep into the corner, nearly, I'd say he almost missed the turn with how much ground he lost, and Scott Kim nearly got alongside. As Peter Atlantic back on the racetrack very slowly. Not too sure what's going on with Peter, but the leaders are the other end of the track. I thought I saw headlights, but it looks like Peter Atlantic having problems. There's a car closing in behind him. That is Dean Tulane, who is well off of the lead pack. And I think Peter Atlantic has some problems. Not exactly sure what they are. Now he's going to get back on the throttle. I think he may be having technical issues. No, I'm not going to hold that against him, but he is going to likely finish in the 8th position tonight. Brian Kennedy in that 2nd place. Got around Colin Kortnick and see if he can find his way up to Clint Fletcher. These two the fastest in qualifying and really all night long. And then it's Colin Kortnick and Scott Kim, 3rd and 4th. Matthew Gazenda rounding out the top 5. He's the last one in this lead group. Adam Pohl with issues finds himself 6th place, about 10.5 seconds back. So not sure exactly if he's got hearing problems or any kind of damage on the car. We can't really even see the car with how dark it is here at Fuji tonight. Clint Fletcher, your race leader, past the halfway mark once again. Looking to sweep the evening, and that would be very impressive. Even with the small field, we've seen amazing action, and it's a very competitive field with battles all throughout. But this race looking maybe a little bit more straightforward, and Scott Kim takes a huge shot on the curbs. You can see what that does to these cars. We'll go back and take a look at the replay. Car launches the whole front end off the ground. And that's got to be startling when you're in one of these GT3 machines, just to see your headlights start pointing up towards the sky. And losing a lot of grip in the front end when you do that. Can also damage the splitter and the underbody of these machines, which are very, very sensitive aerodynamically. Scott looking to try and finish this one out without any more incidents or contact. Brian Kennedy a little bit slower on the last lap. That margin about 1.6 seconds between the top two. They were only about 1/10 of a second apart in terms of lap time, Brian Kennedy being the slower of the two. As Colin Kortnick's had a problem. Scott Kim goes around him. Let's see what happened to the 32 machine of Colin Kortnick. Not sure if it was just a little... The back end goes for a big slide, able to recollect the car. And ultimately gets on track right next to Matthew Gazenda and holds him off. So nice job there. still in front of him. It's the top 5 within 6.5 seconds. And then Anapole, the next one back. Team Tulane still on the lead lap, about 55 seconds back. Peter Lanik off the lead lap, and barring any major problems for the rest of this field, again, should finish in that 8th spot. Across the stripe here, Clint Fletcher, 137.52. Brian Kennedy, 137.58. So just a little bit slower, and Clint doing everything he needs to do. Try and maintain this lead, but any misstep could mean the difference between winning and losing. We know how good these top 2 are. How good all of this field is. Really, just big shout out to Scott Kim. Looking for another podium finish tonight. And he's got about 1.25 seconds over Colin Portnick. So if he can hang on to that gap, he can have a shot at finishing on the podium 2 weeks in a row, and that would be very impressive, and probably would be very happy with that result. The top 2 starting to drive away. They are 5.7 seconds ahead of Scott and the rest of the top 5. Colin's starting to struggle just a little bit with that car. You can see him missing some of his marks, and Matthew Gazenda could look to capitalize off that. They're very comparable in terms of lap times. And this time, Clint Fletcher put down just a very impressive lap. His best of the race, 136.58. That is 0.8 faster than Brian Kennedy's 137.33, which is a half second faster than anyone else. So that is just how quick the top 2 are. Scott Kim, the only other one in the 137 bracket, though, 137.87. As Matthew Gazenda and Colin Kortnick going to do battle here. Gazenda goes around the outside. Not quite able to clear. How about the 32 powering back? You can see the lights just glaring off the side there of Colin Kortnick, who's going to be able to take the position back. Very good job defensively there, and these two setting up for a good fight to the finish. We'll keep an eye on them. Riding on board with Matthew Gazenda as we look forward to the 32 machine. You can see just how unstable these GT3 machines are sometimes. Tries to set up a nice exit on the long run, not able to do it that time. Brian Kennedy responds just a little bit with his lap, a 136.92. That's his best of the race. Clint Fletcher, a 137.08. So almost just over a 10.5 faster for Brian Kennedy, but he's going to need a lot more than that with just 3 laps to go. Going to need that one car to step a tire wrong and get off of the track somewhere. Looking very smooth and consistent to this point, not sliding. Clint went on that winning streak at the end of the summer season, has not found victory lane through the first 2 weeks in either a feature or a heat race. Ultimately finishing second in a lot of those. Trying to get to victory lane for the first time in a feature race this season. Try and climb up through the standings as he entered in. Tied for that points lead with Brian Kennedy, so this would likely be a step in the right direction towards a season championship for Clint. who we know has tons of skill in pretty much any road car that he gets into, is across the stripe this time. Another quarter second for Brian Kennedy, but it's 2 laps to go, and he's got to make up over 2 seconds. It's going to need to have the lap of his life and faster than anybody else has run. Meanwhile, Matthew Gazenda and Colin Kortnick, you can barely see them on the screen, but that's the 32 machine, and then behind him, the 52, separated by just about 1 second. So that could be something if Matthew can get a nice lap. Colin slips up just a little bit like he has a couple times this race. The top 2 still long gone. You can see Clint probably preserving a little bit of something. I'm not sure if he's saving fuel or just trying to not make any mistakes, but that gap is coming down. They work their way through the final few corners of this lap. They'll get the white flag at the start-finish line. Clint Fletcher out in front. Brian Kennedy in the 2nd spot. Gonna need a major moment from the 1, or he's gonna have to find about an extra 200 horsepower in that Ferrari to try and catch up. I don't think that's gonna be the case. We'll come across the line here. Final lap of the night. It'll be Clint Fletcher and Brian Kennedy. Brian going to try and find some time somewhere, get himself in striking range. He's been faster the last couple of laps, but it hasn't been by enough. Just about a quarter second each lap, and maybe Clint faster on the short run, Brian faster on the long run. Got Kim in the 3rd place. Seen a little bit of his margin evaporate now back to Colin Kortnick, who's just about 1.2 seconds behind. And then Matthew Gazenda less than 1 second. So if any of these drivers makes a slip up here, we could see them battling for the final step of the podium, but still separated by a good amount. Clint Fletcher and Brian Kennedy, 1.5 seconds the difference. And coming back around towards the tail end of this one, Brian is finding a lot of pace in the final few moments. Is Clint Fletcher running out of fuel? He has given up a ton of time. Just going to have one more corner, and then the rest of this straightaway just has to make it back. Not want to end up second again. Off the final turn. Flashes the headlights. He's going to drive through the grass like he did in the heat race. And go all over the front stretch. That gap came down a lot for Brian Kennedy. Gonna pile in here down at the end of the straightaway, not able to see really anything once they knock the headlights out. Got Kim gonna come home in 3rd. What a run for him. Matthew Gazenda in the 4th spot. Colin Kortnick, not too sure what happened to him. He's gonna come home in 5th. Anapole and Dean Tulin gonna wrap up the field. Peter Vlanek took it behind the wall a few laps ago, so he'll be scored in the 8th spot. But your winner here tonight, that's gonna be Clint Fletcher. He completes the sweep on the evening as they all pile in. What a race it was for him, and so many of these drivers here. We'll be back after a quick commercial break to interview our top 3 finishers. From the starting line to the finish line, and everything in between, Duncan Racing Designs is here to supply you with the livery you didn't know you needed. Let DRD help you look good so you can drive fast. Contact Duncan Racing Designs on Instagram, Trading Paints, or via email. This season of the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League is brought to you by Gunfire Games, developers of the hit game Remnant 2, now available for PC, PS5, and Xbox. For more information on Remnant 2, visit www.remnantgame.com. Welcome back to the racetrack. We're going to be talking to our third place finisher here this evening. That is Mr. Scott Kim, who gets his second podium in a row. Hey, hey Scott, this is Adam in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, I have a copy, yes.
Well, man, this is your second podium in a row, and not an easy night for you. You know, from maybe not your, the result you're looking for in the first race, but you nearly get turned around here in the feature. Can you go on to finish on the podium? You got a copy there, Scott?
I can. It's better now. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. You get a podium finish here tonight.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, all good. You get a podium finish, and it was not easy. You almost got turned around there off the nose of the 8 machine. But just describe your night here at Fuji.
Oh. I just try to, stay on track, don't cause any more trouble, but yeah, it just worked out. And, I know, just the opportunity, sit down there. I mean, we were planning on having a night race here. It just kind of happened, so, but yeah, turned out okay.
Yeah, definitely a really good, exciting race, and you get your second podium in a row here after a Red Bull Ring last week. We go to Magna Cores next week. How do you feel about going out there?
It's another fast track. We're just talking about that, and yeah, I think a lot of people love it, and hopefully, hopefully I'll do well as well. We'll see.
Awesome, Scott. Well, congrats on another podium finish. Anybody want to give a shout out to?
No, just our sponsors and our friends, and families and friends that are watching us, and yeah, just good turnout. So hopefully we have a better turnout in next race. And thanks to you for the broadcast. That's really it.
Awesome, Scott. Well, thanks for taking some time here. Congrats again on third place tonight, and we'll catch you next week at Magna Cores.
Right. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
See you.
That is Scott Kim, third place finisher. We're now going to go to second place. You can't even see him on the screen there. Let's see if we can get a little view of his car. Nope, just the 77. That's all we're going to get. All right, so we'll see if we can get Brian Kennedy into the booth with us here. Hey, Brian, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Adam, I got a copy.
Yep, I got you here. And tonight, a very interesting set of circumstances with it being incredibly dark out here at Fuji.
Yeah.
You get two runner-up finishes in this one, and Clint Fletcher able to just one-up you here tonight. But it looked like you guys had a lot of fun coming through the field. Just describe the racing in the dark here tonight.
Oh yeah, like you said, it was certainly interesting. It was a surprise. Couldn't tell during the warm-up practice whether it was the sun rising or setting, and yeah, turns out it was setting. So yeah, yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was 3 wide multiple times over the course of the night, which is pretty crazy and fun. And I definitely felt a little bad about one of my passes there in turn one. I kind of maxed Verstappen to Adam and Colin, I think it was. I went on the inside and didn't quite hit the apex, but you know, I guess that's hard racing in air quotes.
We saw a lot of
but
drivers.
it was a lot of fun.
And a lot of drivers go into that turn one with that same approach, just knowing, you know, it's going to be tough to pass at other points. Maybe that's a real opportunity. Did you find it, you know, difficult to make passes here with all these kind of back and forth corners? We saw, you know, some kind of crossover moves, and some drivers would try and they'd get past and take it right back. Did you find that it was very difficult to maintain position or gain position tonight?
I think I had pretty good success passing. I mean, like you said, there was a lot of turns where people struggled to be consistent, myself included. So if you know you left a little space and then kind of did the crossover, like you said, I was pretty good. I made a lot of passes. I just gave them back because of a screw up or getting caught in traffic. You know, yeah, it made for a really fun night.
Yeah, definitely a lot of exciting moments for yourself and you know the rest of this field. But yeah, you did make a lot of passes and ultimately come home second here tonight. We go to Magna Cores next week. How do you feel about going out there?
I'm starting to get a little sick of all these long sweeping turns, yeah. But it seems all these tracks we've been on have had those so far. So yeah, Magnicor is another one that's yeah, it's fun. It's just like yeah, it gets you're gonna be really patient in some of those turns. So especially with these powerful cars. But yeah, well, I gotta. It's been a while. Gotta dust off the cobwebs and my knowledge of the track. So.
Yeah, should be a fun one here, and hopefully we get a few more guys out there for a bigger field, you know, at another big track.
Yeah.
But definitely a fun show here tonight at Fuji in the dark. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to Clint for winning both the night, we'll say, and then yeah, Scott again for say podiums 2 weeks in a row, I think, right? And
Yep.
then
Two.
yeah, and then V Speed, Duncan Racing Designs, and Gunfire Games. Thanks to our sponsors. So.
Awesome, Brian. Well, thanks for taking some time here after the race. We'll catch you next week at Magna Cores to see if you can do one spot better and get the victory out there. Thanks again.
Thanks, Adam.
That is Brian Kennedy. We're going to go now to our race winner here tonight. That is Clint Fletcher. Let's see if we can get a view of the winner's car, and perfect. Able to light it up for us on the track. Clint Fletcher, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Oh man, you made a lot of passes out there tonight. You had to come from the back in both of the races this evening, and you were fastest in qualifying, and obviously that speed paid off. Really fun watching you climb through the field. Just describe your night here at Fuji.
First and foremost, just want to say sorry to Dean. Did not mean to take him out. So, got a 64 pack of Coors waiting for him. Trying to be clean this season, and unfortunate that I took Dean out once again. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We haven't done Fuji, I think, since either GTEs, I want to say, but I've always liked the track and it was just super fun. And even though it was dark, driving off muscle memory, I think I was just able to be consistent, which was key.
Yeah, I think a 64 pack is going to be more than enough to make up for the incident here in the sim. But and you were definitely flying out there, fastest lap, you know, lap after lap. We saw at the end of this final race, Brian was starting to close in. Was that you preserving something, maybe short on fuel, or what was going on there, just trying to get to the end?
No, that was just me getting, I think, lazy and tired. It was getting pretty hard to see the track leading over and over again. Like the apexes would disappear. I think I just got kind of in that mindset of just being slow and steady through the track. And yeah, I realized I was maybe 2.5 seconds by the time last lap was there. He was maybe 0.5 behind me.
Yeah, it got really close coming through the final corner, but You hold on for the victory, and you sweep the night here at Fuji. We go to Magna Cores next week. Do you think you can do the same thing out there?
Hope so. As long as it's not pitch black and raining, we should be decent.
Yeah, it's definitely a curveball tonight. I did not expect a night race for you guys. At least it wasn't raining, so there is that benefit. But great job out there tonight, Clint. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course, V Speed for the broadcast. Gonna watch it back soon. The guys at the BMW League for hosting, Matthew and Perry for the sponsorships, and just everybody who shows up.
Awesome, Clint. Well, thanks again for taking some time here after the race. Go celebrate, and we'll catch you next week at Magna Cores.
Thanks, Adam.
That is your race winner here this evening. Gets the victory in dramatic fashion there, kind of in the end. Only about 8/10 ahead. Take a look at the rest of our results before we head out for the evening. Just 9 drivers in the field tonight. But Fletcher, though, able to take that victory, and that should catapult him to the points lead. And he sweeps the night with both the heat and the feature. Brian Kennedy going to come home in the second spot, very close at the end of this thing, and was really the second quickest driver all night long. Scott Kim, very impressive third place finish. That is 2 weeks in a row he's ended up on the podium. So keep an eye on that 7-Eleven as he'll climb through the standings again as well. Matthew Gazenda finishes in 4th. Colin Kornick in the 5th spot. Adam Pohl going to finish in 6th after a podium in the first race. Dean Tooling going to finish in 7th. Peter Lanik in 8th after a multitude of issues. Not too sure what happened there with the 9 machine tonight, but had some good speed and led some laps. And Mike Nickum did not start tonight's race, so he'll be scored with the 9th place finish. 3 lead changes as well, so it wasn't like we had somebody just lead the entirety of this one. Definitely an interesting race tonight at Fuji. We want to give a big shout out to the sponsors, Duncan Racing Designs and Gunfire Games, for all that they do for this series.